Thank you. As we know, Michael is a Redemptorist from the province of Indonesia, and he was born in the same hometown with me in Lamulara on 24th of July. But not because of this that I recommended him for this commission. So yes, in short, Michael started working as director of the Donders Humanitarian Development Foundation in 2009. And Michael is also active in several commissions in the Diocese of Weetebula. And since 2017, Michael has been a member of Commission for Social Ministry for Justice, Peace, Reconciliation, and Integrity of Creation, which is initiated by the Redemptorist Generalate in Rome. And Michael and of course his team have been doing great job since then, especially in the area of tackling the human trafficking, domestic violence, putting the call of Laudato Si into action, like planting many trees in Sumba areas, of course in cooperation with other foundations and groups and religions, and also training and encouraging local farmers to use the compost or the organic fertilizer rather than chemical, and also many others involvement or in activities and areas. So because of this, then I'm delighted to recommend Father Michael to this commission, just to have a kind of discussion and also just to listen to his knowledge and many experiences of doing things so far. So I think now I just pass on to Michael to share his knowledge and experience for us for this commission.
So thank you, Timothy. Dear all, thank you very much for inviting me to join this very inspirational meeting. Okay. Yeah, I want to manage well my minutes. Only 20 minutes here. I want to read some points I prepared and sent to Timothy to share for everybody. So let me to read these points I prepared before. I am Father Michael, Timothy present before. I work with our social foundation named Donders Foundation, and through this moment of discussion, I want to share some social ministries join in our foundation. The second there. I do my ministries along with friends who join our Donders Social Foundation, started in 2009 until now. So I serve not only Catholic people. I work in a very fluid region in Indonesia, reaching out to all the poor people of different religions, tribes and races who struggle with various forms of poverty. Donders Foundation, the office of Donders Foundation you can find in Sumba Island. We call this island as the island of MARAPU. MARAPU is a local belief or local religion in the island of Sumba. It's a very beautiful island. Please welcome to Sumba Island. John and some brothers came to this island some years ago. We work with our big vision to create a new civilized society, more dignified, sovereign, and prosperous, based on solidarity, justice, peace, love, and integrity. You can find this page, a beautiful child in dancing, and some photos of MARAPU and the organic farming group, etc. This is our motto of Donders, yeah. Going beyond borders. All works developed by Donders Foundation is a mission to love every humankind, especially those who are poor, oppressed, and forgotten, to care for each other and for life, to learn to grow together, to go beyond borders. There are a photo the day of campaign against human trafficking. Another page, Timo. This we call the mandala of Donders, or Donders mandala of change. In the center of mandala, we find the big vision of Donders, a new civilized society. How to cope this big vision? Donders teamwork must work together with the Donders strategic partners. And there are three big issues. The first, inclusive and green prosperity. Second, the dignified and justice space for the most marginalized. And the third, the dignity of Mother Earth. Another points of this mandala, I leave this another, yeah. And how to unify Donders vision with the spirit of Laudato Si. The next page. We started in 2020. We prepare this project or program with the inspiration of Laudato Si on the care of our common home. There are some subject of campaigns: justice, peace, and care of creation. The first season, this is season, we call the season of creation, jubilee of the earth, save our planet, go green, go organic, go clean, no plastic, no chemical, eco-friendly. All of this we call, this is our mission, Donders mission. How to realize this unifying with the spirit of Laudato Si. We work together with 7 communities. So I call this the strategic communities. The first, 17 Umapege or Umapande. Pege or Pande means smart house. Yeah. Smart house community, 17 smart house communities. These communities initiated by Donders and DX of thieves and or robbers in the 17 villages. We can find them in all of Sumba Island. The second, MARAPU communities in Southwest Sumba, West Sumba, middle of Sumba, and East Sumba. MARAPU is the local religion in Sumba. And the third, this source community or Donders Save Our Sumba community. This is a very special community, Donders Shelter House, specially to care of the victims of human trafficking. The point 4, organic farming communities in all of Sumba Island. And 5.5, communities of children of victims of migrant workers only in Southwest Sumba. And 6, Magnificat Cooperative. We form a very special cooperative. We name it Magnificat. And the last, Non-Violence Conflict Transformation Community, NVCT community, particularly to protecting the dignity of land and water, building networking to against human trafficking. Another point, the activities of organic farmer groups. So we open a field school everywhere in Sumba Island. Some photos of a field school. All members of the farmer groups are trained to be able to understand and to produce its own solid and liquid organic fertilizers by utilizing all the available materials around them. All members of the farmer groups are trained to know the local ecosystem, slipped in the life cycle, the independent of all the elements and processes that created the ecological sustainability. Next. All members of the farmer groups are trained to trade cocoa and coffee regularly by performing the trimming on the branches with evaluated inhibits or reduces the growth of flowers and fruit. Next. This special for kids, kids practice developing horticultural gardens in harmony of nature, aligns ideas their parents. Next, nursery and planting saplings of cocoa and coffee. There are basa pump, eco-friendly technologies to pump water into the higher place by using the power of running water. The basa pump is used to support the development of nursery and horticulture during the dry season. Next, the special women group for food sovereignty, ecological sustainability, and human dignity. Next, specific ecosystem observations of cocoa and preparation of organic fertilizers. The activities of children group, special for children group. Sometimes, we must go to the villages and together with the kids, the children, and sing together. This is a very special song with the kids. I am bringing my son and I bring it as a bread. Everybody get it, everybody like it together. And another, in the moment of Independence Day of the Indonesia, August 17, this is another song of the children. We are the independent children. We own nothing, but we feel rich. All in the world belongs to us together. So let's share everything because we are all equal. So next page, the activities of Donders Shelter House. We have one shelter house in Sumba Island. There are another song special for the shelter house. Learning together, asking together, walking together. Everybody is teacher. Nature is my school. Be prosperous, my nation. There's some kids in our shelter house. Next point, next page, yeah. So this is our shelter house in Sumba Island. Then another interviews of victims of violence with police officers. Next page. The activities against human trafficking. We called these days as the 2 appreciative days of the actors of change. So everybody, we call them the actor of change to make different the campaigns, their activities to against the human trafficking must go to their house, to their villages, to their own hands. Another next. Also, the 2 appreciative days of the actor of change. The second days, they must put their signs with their foods or signs in the very big table. Yeah. Next page. We have many problems in Sumba Island and other island in Indonesia, especially with the human trafficking victims. They sometimes they die in Malaysia or Cyprus or Batam or another islands in Indonesia. So Donders must facilitate to return of human trafficking victims' body to their own villages. This is one of the victims' body from Malaysia to Sumba Island. Next page. The activities against land grabbing. We have a very big problem with land grabbing in Sumba, Kalimantan, Papua, etc. This is at the moment Eucharistic celebration to bless the burnt village and initiative to find a peaceful way. In the village of Lobo, they burned the village before sent to another mafia of land in Sumba. Next page, yeah. The worship for building peace for 2 villages, Galudapi and Pamadana, fighting for seizing a land in December 23, 2016. 2 days before Natal, before Christmas. We have an annual festival to bless and restore Sumba's island water and forest. We call this Waihumba Festival. We do this festival every year in Sumba Island. Next. The advocacy, litigation, and protest efforts to defend 3 leaders of local tribes who were criminalized because of their strong attitude to defend customary land and reject gold mining companies in Sumba Island, in center Sumba. And what next? So I am going to the end of my presentation. What next? Point 1, very important to make clear about human liberation and liberation of theological paradigm. The paradigm of thinking and acting must change into more inclusive dialects. According to Karl Marx, religion that only talks about heaven and forgets people and their reality, then that religion deserves to be abandoned. And for us, pluralism is sacred. So it is very important to build the idea of inculturalism, because inculturalism is an expression of our faith in God incarnation. The ultimate goal is human dignity, respect, freedom, equality, and dignity. There is no mission without option for and with the poor. Therefore, the act of evangelizing means being willing to simultaneously evangelize by the poor too. So it is important to talk about testimony rather than talking about how to teach. And as a Redemptorist, I experienced that in the victims of migrant workers, including their children and another poverty condition, Christ the Redeemer expressed himself very strongly. And at the same time, he called us to take full part in his liberation mission. The powerful narratives of Saint Alphonsus Maria de Liguori are encompassed in the inspiration of the manger, the cross, and the altar. And now we need to translate more boldly to the wounded realities that come brightly before our eyes. Thus, solidarity and proclamation of the liberation of the cross is the character of solidarity and the mission of our liberation. Christ's divisive generosity and dividing himself in the Eucharist should also urge us to always be more willing to share life, especially with those in suffering. And finally, the expression of God's great love by emptying himself and willingly laid in the feeding place of animals, the manger, should also encourage us to be more courageous, incarnate, united, walk and fight along with so many who are suffering. This is our quote. Programs and humanitarian movements are being managed is an expression of our faith of various religious cycles. All Donders staffs who dedicate themselves in Donders programs and movements, trying to come from a perspective that goes beyond the ordinary social activities of humanity. Our actions are mission to realize the image of the face of God who says yes to the life in all its dimensions and apparentless. We use the principle ergo sum credo as a base movement to move along to anyone beyond the borders and to exceed all the boundaries of poverty and its alienation. I acknowledge that for me, to live is Christ and to die is gain. Maringina, blessing. God bless you. God bless you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Timo, to facilitate this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Mike. It was a very extraordinary presentation you made there. And I think for most of us in Australia, just to realise how difficult are the circumstances in which you work and difficult, extreme in some ways, and so very different from place to place. We could say, particularly for our region, I think this part of the world, there are similarities, but there are vast differences as well. I particularly like the way that you obviously very close to the people and expressing, identifying with their interests and concerns, but beautifully integrating that in a faith perspective, that the faith is not something separate from their real life situation. So we have time for 10 minutes or so to hear different people's responses. So I open the floor to anyone who'd like to ask a question of Father Mike or make a comment.
Hello, Michael, and good to see you again. And
hi, John.
So I've been with Michael at the Donders Foundation. I've been very privileged, and we're still talking in dialogue and helping. He's helping us, and we're helping him as well too. So, Michael, just thank you for the strength of who you are. Mm. You know, what I found was this great power in you to keep on believing, to be energized for the mission, to keep a focus on what's important, the poor, the marginalized, you know, and everything that we're talking about in our Laudato platforms. Our ecology is already being lived out at this very profound local level. And just keep going, Michael. It's never easy, never easy to get everybody on side. And I think you don't have to. You just need to do what you need to do. As Sheila was saying, that's your charism. You're living it out. You're living it beautifully. And the people around you just appreciate the leadership that you bring. So well done. Congratulations.
Thank you, John. Pray for us.
Michael, when I was in Kalimantan, in Borneo, we also had the same problem with the palm oil company, because they are the ones who came sometimes through the politicians to the leaders, or even individual or families, and just to promise money if they sell their land. And the same situation like you experienced in Sumba, and in this case with the golden company. So it is, I believe it is very hard. Sometimes even the leaders, they are stay strong to defend their land. But sometimes the big company, they don't like stop, they get stuck there and then stop. They will try again and again until they find it. So it is a ongoing company with them, just to be strong to defend the lands. Because as you know, in Kalimantan also in the beginning, when the church with those ecumenical church with the Protestants, with some of the local religions, we stand together to fight against the lands. And after a few years, some of them a bit loosen their heart, and they just, because people are so pragmatic and so realistic, they need money. And when someone comes to them and offer a big money, it's sometimes very easy for them to give up and just sell. So yeah, it is not the easy things, the easy job, but yeah, like John say, just do what we can, and yeah, together we are strong to defend our motherland.
Yes.
Michael, thank you. An inspiration, and it's just happening so close to Australia. I'm sure it's a model that we can implement here. So thank you for the richness of what you've contributed. Very wonderful. Wonderful to see you and meet you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks so much, Michael. I'm thinking about how the platform can really share the story of the work that's being done and build more connection, as you're saying, Father Pat, to other parts of people in the world who want to support what you're doing and you know, contribute to Donders in any way they can. So there's a real opportunity to have a global connection, but a regional connection that you've already got happening, but just to amplify that, I think. The stories that the Laudato Si Action platform seeks to share about how to respond to the 7 goals. As John was saying, you're doing that. So, you know, what a rich opportunity it is to profile who you are, what you're doing, what the charism means, all of those things. So I think that's one of the things that could be part of your commitment, is to share the stories of what's happening in the province, starting with Mike as one of them. that could be fairly easily done with the great people you have working in communications. And I think there's someone in Bruce's room, or who was there, Matthew, supporting this event tonight. Hey, Matthew.
Hi,
wouldn't it be fantastic to share Mike's story through this platform that's looking for stories to be shared about how to do this? And when we celebrate in Laudato Si Week and in the season of creation, to lift that up in other forums, like through the Laudato Si movement, Sowing Hope for the Future. There's so many opportunities. So I just wanted to thank you again and just say, let's find ways to amplify your great work. Thank you.
Sister Sheila, do you have a word for Mike?
I think that he exemplified many of the things that we were talking about, you know, in terms of taking your charism, going to the grassroots, finding a way to connect all of this in a way that you can look at it and see the results, so respectfully honoring the people, giving them that sense of freedom. So integrating all of that, it was just beautiful, the way that he so generously shared of himself, you know, to engage others in this whole process. It was about them that he was trying to raise up. So I'm very grateful for the energy that's there for your community. I also want him to know that we are serious about some of the areas, and one of them is mining. We've been really working, even in our office in Integrative Creation, working on the areas of mining and trying to connect with what's happening around the globe. And our last webinar, we had featured three sisters at that time who had been working in mining and some of the success factors. So this is important for him to know. Also, I'm an FCJM. We have many sisters, over 300 sisters in Indonesia. So I know the palm oil difficulty. That's incredible how that kind of just seeps into everything, in poverty, you know, having to eat. You know, Michael, as you said, that's a determining factor on the decisions that are made in all of this. So I can appreciate, having been to Indonesia a couple of times, the work that you're doing. So thank you so much, really.
Thank you.
You have your leader group, John. You have your leader group here to bring you forward.
Aren't they awesome? Aren't they awesome? Absolutely.
We're getting near the end of our time, but one of the things I'd like to just open up a little bit, we in this part of the world, we have a synod for Oceania for next year. But the process has already begun, and we really need to look at this seriously as a province and as a congregation. I think just we had the plenary council, so we're a bit familiar with the processes that was involved with synodality, but just on this Oceania scale, I'm just wondering how we manage this. And I'm wondering, Sheila, would you have some suggestions or ideas about how we should move forward?
Well, you've already had a meeting. I mean, I even listened to it, I don't know, last month or something. So your area is one of the areas that's organized on the different sectors, because the call of urgency, because of the flooding and all the destructive actions related to climate, it's really important. And it was your group that said, don't let's network, talk about resiliency. So what I think the challenge is trying to help those of us who are in other parts of the globe realize that what we're doing has a direct effect on your life, you know, and to listen to your stories. And then those who are affected need to help us know what is it that we can do. It's one thing to tell the stories about how it is, you know, raise the awareness, but after the awareness, where do we go from here? So I think that that's clear. And to know that what's happening in Oceania is important. The fact that you are organized on a hierarchical level as well, telling your story and then giving us a way out, giving us a way to deal with that. So that's what I would suggest. That's what we need from you. I mean, the Pope has come out clearly and said environmental destruction is a sin. Okay, Alphonsus Lagore, how would you handle that if that's a moral issue? We got sin on the table now. Whoops, that's pretty serious. So, you know, and we're contributing in one way or the other by this. So we're not just saying make people feel guilty, but give us a way out. Let's give us hope, you know, what we can move on. So that's brought in prayer. As our own St. Francis said, first you do what you can, then you can find you do what's essential, and then you do the impossible. So we got to be on that road, and we need your help. So as I said, Claire is from your area. She's actually involved in the parish group, the hospital group, and I think another one, raising your voice. So keep telling us what's going on, as well as Mike has done. So thank you.
Good.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Sheila. That's helpful for giving a wider context for what's happening and just alerting us, I think, to the global dimensions of these issues as Pope Francis has. This is a journey that we're making, not just as a religious journey, but with really every scientific community, the political community, everybody is really, in Australia here, we had a terrible shock with the fires and now the floods.
Oh, terrible, yes.
Practically every week there's a new disaster, climate disaster somewhere.
Yes.
So this is really urgent for us to, and how to keep it in the other dimensions Pope Francis mentions about the economics, about the question of inequality and empowerment of people. So the ordinary people, so they can have a voice. These are all part of our, I'd like to suggest that as Pope Francis does so very good, this is part of our mission. This is part of our ministry. How to not that we're going to do it all. No, but to raise up communities of people and encourage them and infuse them with the sort of spirit that St. Francis has about connecting nature with God's Holy Spirit sustaining us all.
Yeah, sure. So it's a new frontier. You know, I think our communities would go and we'd start a little hospital and we'd have a school. We did all these ministries, which is very important. But now we have to look at we're now connected globally, and it really, we're in the same boat, as Pope Francis says. We're either going to sink or swim or survive together. It's true. It's true. And particularly in your area, you got it. You know it is true. You know it's true. So we want to be there for each other, pray our way to know what it is that we need to be doing together.
It's almost time for us to finish up. Before we do it, Father Michael, I'd just like to add how appreciative we were of your presentation, the care you put into the visuals. The photos there are really striking,
right. Yeah.
And really brought it alive to us in a way that we're not very familiar with, so distant from you in many ways. But also, you know, we're brothers together in all this, and brothers and sisters all together in this. And just being able to communicate like this, I think is very important. We need to do more of this. And I think it'll help us all understand just what Pope Francis is calling us to, with real solidarity with the poor. And isn't that what religious life's all about? Isn't that what our commitment to poverty is all about?
Yeah.
I think it's a really contemporary way of how we live this message of Laudato Si, not just in environmental things in the areas where I'm particularly concerned with, the economic and social issues that are in play. And there, of course, Sister Sheila was saying there, the health aspects of this, especially with the pandemic at the moment. So we've got a lot to work with. And so both Mike and Sheila and all of you are taking time out to listen today. John, I know you're very busy, but thank you for being here today, and for Matthew coming along and helping us with our video presentation. So we will, this is being recorded. We'll do a little bit of edit, and then we'll distribute it to the wider Redemptorist network. So Sheila and Jackie, you've been such a gem for us. Thank you for that, and continuing to walk with us and helping us understand what we're called to here. So all of you, thank you for coming, and we'll notify you as soon as the recording is ready for wider distribution. So thank you very much, and God bless you all.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Bruce.
Thanks,
everyone. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you all.